Hello, Johnny from Eurogamer here, and this is My Friend Pedro, a game being published by Devolver which is, quite literally, bananas. The basic premise is this: you are an extremely agile, even balletic killing machine who goes about a whole bunch of levels committing obscenely stylish murders, all under the guidance of his friend Pedro, who is a talking banana.
Bananas?
That's about all you need to know, to be perfectly honest, but having played the game for myself recently, I'd quite like to talk a bit more about it. So, without any further ado, here are 7 things we love about My Friend Pedro. First up, it's obscenely stylish. While the basic premise of My Friend Pedro is pretty straightforward, traverse level, kill bad guys, proceed to next level, it's in the game's sense of style that it really shines. The visuals are nice, the dialogue is witty and charming, the murderous banana Pedro is adorable, and of course flipping about the place in slow motion while gunning down your enemy's bit is absolutely gorgeous. Devolver has a penchant for publishing games that are creatively daring, but to be honest, sometimes those games come across as a little bit obnoxious. The same is definitely not true for My Friend Pedro, which is every bit as charming as it is stylish. It's endearing and flashy, and it makes you feel extremely cool. When things go to plan, that is, and I'll be getting back to that in just a minute, but suffice it to say for now that this game is really well executed. Not unlike most of your enemies. Second, while My Friend Pedro has style, it also has a good deal of substance. Sometimes when developers make a game that's about doing things in a cool way and keeping up the momentum, the combat itself lacks a sense of punch, sacrificing heft for speed and leaving you with an experience that, overall, feels a bit flimsy. My Friend Pedro, thankfully, avoids falling into the same traps, and it manages this in a few different ways. First, unless you've managed a particularly well-placed headshot, your enemies don't go down without taking a few hits. When they do get killed, the ragdoll physics kick in, sending them flying backwards in a spray of gore which lingers as a kind of blood mist after the fact. And then the little markers telling you about your score multipliers popping up all over the screen help contribute to a feeling you're really getting things done. The guns also make a pleasing pop, but really it's when you hit the slow motion button and start laying waste to your enemies at a heavily reduced speed that My Friend Pedro really comes into its own. The thud of your weapons and the thwack as bullets meet flesh are both heightened by the slow-mo, but combine that with the fact you're almost certainly upside down while doing this, and you get a game that's really pleasing to experience, even with its heavy emphasis on fluidity. Indeed, one of the really nice things about My Friend Pedro is that it's really generous with its slow-mo bar. Your slow-mo ability lasts for ages, you can toggle it on and off at will, and it also refills really quickly, so to be honest, it's rare you'll ever run out of it unless you forget it's on in the first place. It's a design decision that basically acknowledges the game is a lot more fun when you can slow it down and really set up the perfect stunt shot, and then it lets you get on with doing just that. It's a useful tool for when you're first learning how to play the game, of course, but then as your confidence grows, it allows you to find your own tempo and toggle the slow-mo to suit your playstyle. I think. To be honest, I was still getting to grips with it by the end of my demo, but it felt like a breakthrough certainly wasn't far off. It does bear repeating that My Friend Pedro takes a bit of getting used to, especially when you consider splitting your aim and flipping around as part of the bargain, all while trying to be at least vaguely accurate. The flip side of this game being a little tricky to master is that it's basically giving you a bunch of creative tools and letting you work out how best you want to use them. It's a game that doesn't hold your hand, in other words. It just gives you some simple tools that work together well and lets you figure the rest out for yourself. And the creativity doesn't end with your controls, stylish though they are. There are also added extras dotted around the game that help you set up the odd kill that's a bit more suave than your average. There are kitchen knives, for example, which you can either kick or shoot into your enemies if you get the angles just right, and that's something that seems straight out of a Tarantino movie, to be honest, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to play around with. There are also frying pans you can put to good use, getting rounds to ricochet off the metal surface and grant you a shot you otherwise wouldn't have been able to make. It's all very silly and over the top, of course, but then this is a game in which your spirit guide is a talking banana, so in many ways, it makes a lot of sense.
Bananas.
Of course, when a game allows you to pull off a string of cool looking stunts, you're going to want to savour the moment every now and then. Well, good news! Each time you finish a level in My Friend Pedro, it automatically selects something you did that looks particularly cool, letting you view that clip on a loop. Better still, at the push of a button you can export that clip to Twitter as a GIF, letting everyone else appreciate the moment too. It's a neat feature, but it's also another clear indicator that this game knows exactly where its own appeal lies and how to exploit it. Next, and possibly best of all in this list of things we love about My Friend Pedro, is that it's coming out on Nintendo Switch. During my demo I played the PC version, and from the get-go I thought it was a perfect candidate for a mobile experience like the Switch, and thankfully that's exactly what we're getting. Hooray for banana murder on the move! Although at the minute there is no word on whether or not GIFs will work in the Nintendo Switch version. Hopefully they will. And finally, to close this list out, the last thing we loved about My Friend Pedro is that it's being developed by just one man, a former Media Molecule employee, all by himself, which is faintly mind-boggling and very cool. And that about does it. Hopefully this video got you at least vaguely interested in My Friend Pedro, but if that didn't have you quite convinced already, I'll leave you now with a chunk of gameplay. So thank you very much for watching, and it's bye from me.